Hello. In this presentation, I will give you some advice how to plan and deliver the presentation you do in the course. The 4 points or the 4 parts of this presentation is how to plan the content, how to get prepared for the delivery, then some general do's and don'ts, and then the checklist just for the moment just before the presentation. Of course, it all starts with what you want to say. In this how to plan the content, it's good to remember everything you have learned before in your life about how to make a good presentation. I'm sure you have discussed this in many other courses during your life, and I will not repeat in detail, but just very quickly. Remember the purpose. What's the goal you want to make? Probably in the English course presentation, the goal is to inform your fellow students about something. That is the topic of your presentation, but you have also some other secondary goals, like you want to show your English teacher that you can make a good presentation because you want to get a good grade. And we have a kind of natural need that we want to appear intelligent and good and capable persons in front of other people. And that may be a bit difficult sometimes when we need to use a foreign language, but in this presentation you get some help how to do it. Another point is to take the audience into account. You should always match your presentation to the audience needs, if that's possible, if you know something about the audience. In your class presentation, this means, for example, that we know the context. This is something you do in the English course, and you probably know some words that the others don't know about your specific topic. And so it's okay if you give these words on the bottom of the PowerPoints if you want. And something you certainly have heard before of is that your presentation should have some kind of structure. You must build a structure for your presentation, some kind of intro, different items, different topics that you talk about, and then some kind of ending. There are some specific points that should be kept in mind because we're doing this in English. One is that use simple sentence structures. If you take written text from sources, put them in a more simple form. In your course materials, you have examples how to do this, and I will show you after a moment what I mean with this. On the left-hand side, the yellow text is the written language, the written text where you have taken the information. This can be, for example, from a company homepage or some product information. In the middle column, the turquoise text, you can see how you could say that in a good way in your presentation. And as you can see, the spoken language versions are much longer than the written versions. And why is that? It's because if you don't understand the written language right away, you can always go back and read it again. But when you're speaking, your audience must understand you online, and therefore you have to say things not so, you must give the information not so densely packed, and you have to help the audience to understand your meaning. For example, on the left-hand side, you can see inside wood is used to the extent permitted by fire safety regulations. To the extent permitted is a very difficult written style structure. Hardly anybody would say it aloud. Rather, you can say something like, as you can see in this picture, we have used wood as much as possible, but of course the amount of wood was limited by fire safety regulations. So you don't pack it so densely. Also, you can give some hints for the audience about the different parts of your message. Instead of just saying snaps, basements, and crawl spaces, you can first give an intro sentence. When we build a foundation for the house, we have three alternatives. First, blah, blah, blah. Second, blah, blah, blah. And third, blah, blah, blah. The last thing that I talked about was actually one form of signposting, and we come to that method a bit later. Then, a very important thing, plan your presentation in such a way that you don't have to read aloud, so that you can speak freely as much as possible. It must be so simple that you can speak freely as much as possible and read as little as possible. And as I said, as this is a kind of class, this is in a way, this is after all also a classroom event. If you want, you can give a short English-Finnish word list after the intro slide or at the bottom of each slide. But this is up to you. It's not necessary, but if you feel that this helps the audience, it's good. Okay, when you have done the content and you know what to say, you still have to plan a lot how to say. You're in about halfway. So now that you have your audio visuals ready, you know the structure of your presentation, you know how you start it, you know how to end it. There are still a lot of things to do, and 8 points to remember. Check the pronunciation of difficult keywords and practice them. Especially if you have a difficult word that is often repeated. It's okay if you don't pronounce everything perfectly, but if you have some key terms that you repeat often and often again, and you pronounce it somehow totally wrong all the time, it's not nice. Then, plan how you do this too if they do not come naturally. The first is signposting, and the other is referring to materials. So how you say in your presentation things like about this referring to materials. On the left hand side you can see the red gadget, or on the right hand side you can see of my presentation you can see a table or a graph or a picture of a power plant or a building or a straddle carrier or whatever. But what does signposting mean? Now I'll explain it in more detail. And now I used materials that are also linked in your own course materials on your Learn site. Signposting means showing your audience the structure of your presentation. It can mean introducing the topic, so saying my topic is. You can even justify your topic, why you chose the specific topic, and this is especially important if the topic has some personal significance for you. The audience is always interested to know that. Then you can give some kind of overview. You can say that, okay, my presentation consists of 4 parts, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And when you have come to an end of one part, you can say, that is all I have to say about blah, 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 and my next topic is blah, blah, blah. Then you can use this kind of rhetorical questions or phrases, like, where does this lead us? Or why is this important? What does this mean for? You can give examples. An example is always good for the audience. They will remember your examples better than just the facts. And then in the end, you can show the audience that you're in the end. To sum up, to summarize, and so on. So these are from BBC signposting language pages, and there's a link to this page on your in your materials. So we had signposting, we had referring to materials, and one of the most important things, when your materials are ready, practice aloud several times. Not only in your mind, but also aloud. Because you never know how it goes if you don't practice aloud. You really have to be experienced if you can manage without practicing aloud. I know some of you may be able to do this, but the more important the occasion is, the more nervous you are, the less experience you have in presenting in English, and what else? Nervousness, level of language, experience, importance. Yeah, the more you're frightened, the more you should practice. There's no other way to master the situation. And there's no other way to master the clock. See how long it takes. Because it's a horrible situation that you are given 20 minutes time and your presentation takes 40 minutes. I've known that personally. I found in the morning when I was attending a conference that my presentation took twice as long as I was allotted. And there's no other way than to cut out certain parts of your presentation. And because you're speaking in a foreign language, speak more slowly, speak more clearly, and speak more emphatically than you would do normally. So put more emphasis to the important words, to the important phrases. So don't try to speak as if you were speak normally, because this is not a normal situation. You are now presenting, and you are presenting in a foreign language. So more slowly, more clearly, more emphatically. Some do's and don'ts. It's okay that your pronunciation isn't perfect. It's okay to say things in a simple way. It's okay that you sometimes repeat things that you say, because actually that helps the audience. If you say everything only once, the audience, it's very difficult for the audience to follow, particularly if you speak fast. It's okay to pause to think for a while, but if you practice well, you don't have to pause to think in the wrong places. And when you present in a foreign language, I've seen this happen many times in real conferences. Somebody asks, okay, the audience, okay, sorry, is this the right word? Can I say this in English? If you do it once, twice, it's okay. If you do it all the time, of course, it bothers the audience. What is not okay? It's not okay to say things that you don't understand yourself. If somebody asks you, can you explain what that means? And you say, I don't understand myself because it was in the material. It was just in the source that I found. You're responsible for your own presentation. You're responsible for the content. And you must understand yourself what to say. It's not okay to read aloud large amounts of text directly from paper. It's not allowed to sound like you're saying your own notes for the first time. And it's not okay to control your own presentation. You must give a sign to the audience that now I start, now I finish it. And not just end till the last fact and then stand quiet. Finally, checklist just before the presentation. I only mentioned 2 points here aloud. Do not hurry, slow down. This is the most important piece of advice. Don't hurry. And the last one, when you offer the audience a chance to ask questions, it's good that you don't close the audio visuals, because somebody may want to ask something like, you had this picture on slide 3, can you explain that in a bit more detail? And it's good that you have the picture at hand. Okay? To summarize, plan what, plan how, practice, and remember the checklist during the presentation. Thank you.